The Washington Building Congress is pleased to present the Craftsman Hall of Fame. This honor is in recognition of enduring commitment, exceptional skill, quality craftsmanship, and extraordinary dedication.
My name is Frank Oren. I grew up in Manassas, Virginia. Lived there my whole life.
My name is Billy Noel. I work for Dyna Electric, and I work as an electrician right now as a field foreman.
My name is Bill Beaton, and I was born in Sea Pleasant, Maryland, which is right outside the district line here. And I've lived in the state of Maryland my whole life.
I didn't have the opportunity to finish high school, but I went to a trade school and took up brick masonry. That's the only place at that time to get a job doing brick was where they made the brick, and I didn't want to, do that, so I worked construction for a couple of years, and then there's a place down in Woodbridge called Arbor & Croce. I said, well, I'll go down there and see if I can get a job, which was in December of 1974, and I've been there ever since.
I came from a non-construction background. I have 5 brothers, 2 sisters. Nobody's in construction. I'd gone to college to get a history degree, and after my 5th year in college, I had to come up with something where I thought I'd make some money, and a friend of mine, John Kelly, who's out of our local 26, was an electrician, and I thought I'd give that a shot, and that was in 1978. And it's turned out pretty well since, the last 35 years.
I can remember even as a kid, I used to be, I built a tree house in a backyard and things like that, and always playing with building something. I wasn't that studious person, put it that way. I just liked to work with my hands. And my father, he was in the trade, he was a machinist, but he worked with his hands. So I always enjoyed that, and always. In high school, I took shop classes, and I kind of enjoyed doing things. In fact, I still have a couple of the little things I made when I was in shop class in high school.
Concrete, is with what we do, it's what's called, architectural precast, which means it's concrete, but it's designed to look, like it's not really concrete. If you take the job we're doing now, there's I think 500 some separate panels that are going to, go on the building. So when you get all them 500 and some panels together, they should look pretty much the same color, all the way around. And if they do that, then we've done our job successfully.
Went to work for Dyna Electric in 1978 and moved around with them for a few years. Went with Kelly Electric, became a journeyman. Had an opportunity with them to do State Department work in Africa, Moscow. So I did that for a few years. And after that, went to work with a company called Harry Alexander, which is one of the oldest electrical shops in the country. And I think I worked for them for about 6 years. And then I came with Dyna in '93 and started working at the power plants for them. Then started getting involved in the data centers in Ashburn area, and I built 6 data centers over there. And that's where I am today still.
Right out of high school, I was just working at a store, but I really wanted to get into woodworking. So I applied at Washington Woodwork. And back then, it took a while. I think it took about 6 months to get the job, but I kept calling every couple of weeks, to see if they had an opening, and finally they did. So, and that was back in '63 when I first started. And that was a union shop, and it also, you went to apprentice school in the evenings. That's basically how I learned my trade, working at Washington Woodwork.
Worked on a project, the American Pharmacists Association headquarters. When the panels were cast, they had a lot of imperfections in it, and we had to, what we call grouting and patching to, match the finish of the product. And I always thought that was one of the better buildings around.
I worked on a couple power plant jobs that were fun to do. There was one, I got another Craftsmanship award with 2 other great men, Jeff Walgerman and Paul Horsman, where we worked on the Clean Air Act, going 350 feet up the outside of the smokestacks with cable tray, and running all the cable up and into the stack and around the outside of the stack to test the air. And I was afraid of heights, I'm afraid of heights over 10 feet, but I was able to withstand that, climbing the ladders and the elevators to get up there. One of the guys I was working with did a majority of the work hanging off a seat that hung from the air to hang all the cable tray. But that was an exciting job. It was all outside. It was windy, a lot of tough conditions, but it was great to do. At the end, it was beautiful to look at and know that we succeeded in doing it.
Of course, the trade has changed over the years. I remember when I started, it was not like today. There was no battery drills and any kind of, I think we had a dozen regular drills that had one speed. So every screw, I remember you put in with a Yankee screwdriver. I must have wore out a couple of them.
City Center right down the street here, the one with it's called terracotta. You see like multiple colors and all that. We did that one at our plant.
The data centers are beautiful because they like a fantastic product. They like it clean. They don't like trash around. They really like it, and they test it and test it and test it to make sure everything is correct. If there's wire that's bad, they replace it, and it's fun to do because everybody is focused on producing a good product. If they do anything to make the system come out well.
One I do remember, and that's back a long time ago, that we actually did a job down at the Pentagon, and they called it was a great big conference table, and they said it went into the war room, is what they called in the Pentagon. And it had where like there was telephones and all came out of the top of the table. We had to cut holes and with special phones and different things like that. It was the day my second son was born. I was at the hospital with my wife, and they called me and said, well, we have to install this table tomorrow. It has to be done tomorrow. I just had my son. So the next day, I had to go down to the Pentagon with a crew and put the thing together.
So I say with the equipment, we've acquired more equipment, more land, of course more people, more employees. Well, we use a lot of golf carts too, which is, good for me because, as far as walking all that land area, to get things moved and equipment and stuff like that.
You go into these different buildings and you get off the elevator, and there's a lot of times there's a fancy reception desk for different offices. I remember one time I got off an elevator and that's a fancy desk. And then I stopped and thought and said, I made that years ago. We take raw lumber and plane it and join it and do whatever we have to do to put it together, and there, comes out something unique. But in this trade, you make a lot of one-of-a-kind things. It does give you a real good sense of pride when you finish a project and stand back and look and say, wow, I made that.
For me to receive these awards, I have to have good people working under me. So I've had that, and caring about what you're doing, really.
To be accepted in the Hall of Fame is humbling because I could consider myself an equal to a lot of the guys I work with, like Barry Payne, Chris Mullins, Chris Carter, Dave Thomas, Mike Devine. All these guys I work on these jobs with, they pretty much, we all do the same thing. We're working towards that goal of producing a good product. It's a really rewarding feeling. And I've been real fortunate. I had a lot of great jobs that I've worked on with these guys.
That actually means a lot, especially at my age, and worked 50 years in my career, and to be acknowledged for that, it gives you a really good feeling.
You have to enjoy your work, first of all. You got to want to get up every day and want to do it, and I love getting up and going to work. I like the camaraderie with the people I'm working with. It's fun. I like starting a project from the beginning, from the dirt, and in the end, seeing how it all comes together.
No matter what you're doing, just, do it to the best of your ability. And if you don't like doing what you're doing, then don't keep doing it.
I've always thought good enough is not in my vocabulary. It's either right or it's wrong. So I try to do it what I think is the correct way to do something. It's going to be right no matter what. Whether I'm building a piano or a shipping crate, there's only one way to build stuff, as far as I'm concerned.
It is with great pride that we present to you the Craftsman Hall of Fame Class of 2014.